Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. It's me, it's Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
I'm okay, mate. Yeah. It's well, obviously watched the Holland game last night, and you were watching Xavi Simons, and he scored.
I know. I literally took him out my team yesterday during the show and thought, oh, I'm going to go Frimpong instead and cover, a defender playing out of position. Well, Frimpong didn't play, and instead, in that same role, Xavi Simons played and played really well. And Denzel Dumfries links well with him, doesn't he? Those two, I'm now going to make sure I either have Simons or Dumfries instead of Frimpong in my team. I think Holland looked good.
Yeah. They definitely gave me food for thought last night. Obviously, Van Dijk after me saying I don't think he is a must need. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe I need a redraft. I mean, I am going to do a redraft tomorrow. I'm gonna kind of like not look at my current team at all while I'm doing it either because I'll forget a few of them, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna start with a clean slate and go through it all and just see who I would pick this time around.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen everyone play a couple of times, but yeah, it's Holland are definitely more interesting. I mean, the fact they're scoring goals is obviously appealing because there's a lot of
Yeah.
teams out there not scoring goals.
Yeah, we'll talk about Holland a bit more later because the likes of Depay being massively overlooked, I think. Like, he's in no one's team, Depay, and he's a great option. In terms of the cheat codes, guys, if you are building a team for the first time, I'm going to give three names that I think should be in everyone's team. Um, and that is purely based on the price for the position they play for the team they play for. Like the ones that the game has priced wrong. Think of Lord Lundstrom in FPL a few years back when he was listed as a defender playing as number 8 for Sheffield United as a 4 million defender. So Bastoni. DeMarco at 5 million for Italy should be in everyone's team. The German left back, who I can't pronounce his name, 4 million should be in everyone's team.
Mittelstadt.
And Mittelstadt and Verbruggen, who you guys will know from Brighton. He's the Holland number 1 and he's 4.5. So I think those three should be locks in everyone's team. So there we go. Down my three. But yeah, Dean, how are you feeling about the game? Like yesterday, and if you didn't watch yesterday's show and want to know more about the game, do go tune in. In terms of the rules and stuff, you've had time to fully digest it. Are you all on board? Do you like it?
I do like it. Yeah. By the way, I think you might be coming through the wrong mic, mate. You sounded a bit echoey,
Ah,
so you
really?
check that out while I'm chatting. But yeah, I am totally on board with this game, and I think it's going to be just as much fun as FPL, to be honest. I'm interested to see what all the guys in the chat are thinking of it so far. So let me know whether you think you're going to like or hate this game as we get into it. I actually like the methodology that comes with the captaincy and stuff like that. I think is actually good. I think it works, and for those of us that are going to be actively in this game and not just passively checking it once a day, it's really obviously going to benefit us because we can literally have a ranking of captains for each game week. And you'll start with one, and you're like, okay, if he doesn't bang, I've got my second one lined up. I've got my
Yeah.
third lined up. And you'll have probably 4 different options each week, depending on which day they play, of who's in your team. And that's obviously a different way of picking your team. And the casual managers, my mates that are just like run of the mill FPLers, for example, aren't going to be looking that deep at it. They're
Yeah.
not going to be wondering and worrying about who plays on which day. They're just going to be picking a team they like. And so I think good ranks really are achievable.
Yeah, and with captaincy, who plays on what day, as you mentioned, is so important. And I was thinking about it yesterday after the show yesterday. It's not just for captaincy, but when you're building your squad, there's a few picks that might play towards the end of each match day that you might reconsider because they play at the end of the match day. It works against them. So, for example, you don't mind benching a Bruno or a Ronaldo or a Cancelo, and you know at some point now come off your bench because there'll be players in your 11 that have got 3-4 points, and you go, I can happily drop Florian Wirtz because he got 3 points, 4 points, and I'm going to put Bruno Fernandes in. But what if you've got on your bench someone that plays at the end of the game week that's maybe a 5 or 6 million asset, or 7 million Kvaratskhelia, and you've got a player that got 3 or 4 points, say 4 points. Do you put Kvaratskhelia in for more than 4 points, or do you go, it's Kvaratskhelia and Georgia aren't going to score, and maybe I just keep the 4? Yeah, if Kvaratskhelia was playing at the start of the match day, obviously you give him a crack. And then if he doesn't perform, you bring him out. So again, players playing at the start of the match day are at a slight advantage too. So when you're picking your teams, it's nice having Portugal as a bit of a backup there because Portugal are a team you can go in on and with high hopes.
Yeah, there's a lot of stick or twist going to go on, and there's a lot of gambling involved. But it's I think it's just another element of fun involved in it. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. FPL Freddie says it'll be more fun, and I won't stress over it. Gary says it finished top 5% UCL, so this is a doddle. Oh, well done, Gary. Yeah, you should be fine. FPL Mac, I'm loving it. Don't normally watch any other games outside of England until quarterfinals for the first time. And that's it. I guess it gives you another reason to be really attached to these games and gives you reason to watch 3 matches a day, if you can, work permitting, every day for a couple of weeks. It's an intense schedule, but it's going to be great, isn't it? Like from Friday, Saturday, like our lives are going to just be like football, football, football. And I think a lot of football widows out there and what's about to come. But yeah, I think the game's good, mate. And I think today's show is really important to kind of arrow in on these top picks that you've got set aside for us from each nation. I think this is a good way to address ways to make sure you're not missing out on any assets, to be honest.
Yeah, let's spend 5 minutes on all the top countries, and we want your input in the chat as well. We might even poll who's the best asset per country to get all your take, and we'll give options based on the ones we show on screen. Dean, I was up at 4:45 this morning because I couldn't. I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm just really excited. My brain's just going crazy about the football, and I knew I was gonna this morning make a video about my predicted Italy lineup, and therefore I couldn't sleep. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's 4:45. I've now got a banging headache. But I made that predicted lineup about an hour ago, and I've scheduled it to go live at the end of Chasing Green Arrows, so at 2 o'clock.
Okay, nice.
But I realized once I had uploaded it that the whole video, and it's uploaded and processed by YouTube now, I had the wrong mic setting and it went through my laptop. And you saying to me, you're going through the right mic, just reminded me, it sounded pretty grainy. The whole video done. I'm not
it's weird because it's not that it's not a massive difference. It's just that edge that's taken away, isn't it? That clarity's gone.
Yeah, just not quite as crisp. So let's get started then with a couple of the top nations. Let's see who we've got first for you guys. We want your input too. We haven't listed every good fantasy asset within each team. We've just listed the ones I really like. I think Pickford at 5 million, if you're going for a long-term strategy where you're not thinking about wildcards, you're not thinking about limitless in the groups, then Pickford at 5 million is probably the best value goalkeeper in the game. Now, I'm surprised he's not at Neuer and Donnarumma's 6 million band, because we know under Southgate, England keep clean sheets. Even with this makeshift backline, I still think they'll keep a few. Mark Gahey because of the price. Palmer, I mean, he's not going to start. But I think Palmer, because later in the tournament, I think he could get into the 11 at some point, and he'll do so well off the bench that maybe by the quarterfinals he's in the 11, or an injury, whatever. Keep your eye on Palmer, because he's so much cheaper than Foden and Saka and Bellingham. Yeah, arguably, if they're all on the pitch, you're probably thinking Palmer's as good as any, and maybe even will be stepping up for pens if Kane's not on the pitch. We saw that in one of the friendlies. And then Bellingham, although I think he's overpriced. This isn't Real Madrid Bellingham, and there is a difference. And then Kane, because he's so good. I mean, Dean, first of all, what do you think of these 5? And second part of that question is, are there any ones you think I've missed in terms of standout picks for England?
Yeah, I mean, Palmer's punchy because he's 7.5 for a player that's probably not going to be playing. So, I don't love the idea of that risk. And when I just want to find out the price actually before I say this.
Are you going to say Anthony Gordon?
No, I'm not. I'm going to say Declan Rice because I've talked about him the whole season of fantasy.
I think he might be
Premier League.
6.
He's 6.5, which if he was 6, I'd actually find that more appealing.
Rodri's 6.5 as well.
Yeah, so I basically, knowing that you'd put this together, I've gone through the main countries and listed 2 or 3 must-haves of my own. And the England list I had was Kane and Pickford. And I did Rice/Gahey as my third. And Kane's obvious. He's a lot of money, but he's going to, if England do well, he's up there for the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
Pickford, I just don't think there's a need to have a 5 million goalkeeper. And I don't think that it's a guarantee enough that England keep a clean sheet that you pick him. But obviously he's one of the best picks you can make. And Rice, I just think because of the way that the points are going to work out and stuff, Rice will play every single minute almost, I reckon, of every game. I think he could be a good pick, especially if ball recoveries are counting towards something. might be in contention for player of match and stuff like that, because he's a big name player who's going to be drawing attention. He might get the opportunity to weigh in and have some goal contribs along the way. So I'm interested in him as an asset. Finn's shouting out Saka not on there. I mean, I don't think Saka's appealing. I mean, number one, Saka might not even be fit for the first game. He got injured in shooting practice for Arsenal in the last week of the Premier League season, and he still hasn't recovered fully from that. And so I spoke to one of my mates in the England camp yesterday, one of the journos who's covering him, and he's like, he said he's got a chance of starting, but it's not a guarantee that Saka starts that game at the moment. So that's interesting. And the hunch at the moment, I say, is that Trent does start in midfield as the third place midfielder. Yes. Rice, obviously, Bellingham, obviously. And Trent, it looks like, is going to be the other guy. Now, so because of that...
How much is Trent?
So you've got to start considering him. I mean, I'm looking through...
Is he 6 or 6.5? I think he's really expensive.
Yeah.
But I do think he's a great option, to be fair. I have missed Trent off this list.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to find him on the list and I can't even
find him. Oh, is he listed as a mid? No, hang on.
I can't find him on...
I'm going to have a look as well. He's in my fan team, but he's not in my...
Can you see him on the list? Oh, yeah, here it is. 5.5, actually.
Oh, Trent.
5.5 defender, Trent. So actually...
Great pick.
5.5 defender, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going to be playing in midfield probably for the first game against Serbia and could have goal contributions and England could keep a clean sheet. Maybe actually that's the guy that we're missing here. Maybe Trent needs to be coming into our thinking.
Yeah, I agree. He's in my fan team at 6.5 as a defender because my strategy is different. But just for match day 1, I'm not back in England players at all, and I won't have a single player in my team. But I think that there's some great picks for match day 2 and 3, and Trent is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, probably going to be like 1-0 Kane Penn or something like that. So
mate, your boy Mitro scoring.
He might, but the thing is, if it is 1-0 Kane and he wins the penalty, scores the penalty, gets player of the match, he's getting loads of points.
Yeah, he is. And I think you'll get 90. Milenkovic-Savic was in my team this morning. I flirted with him at 6.5, but I've soon to come out. Okay, that's England for us. In terms of the poll, maybe we need to change when you're voting. Maybe instead of, because obviously Kane is the best asset, but he's also the most expensive. Maybe we change the question to best value asset for each country. So consider the price point when voting and the other options in that price point. Because Kane is clearly going to win that one. Just like Mbappe will win the France one. Although I think Mbappe will win the France one anyway. Let's move on.
Friesen said he thinks people are underestimating Serbia by that. Don't trust me. People in England are not underestimating Serbia. A lot of people here are not that optimistic about that first game, and I really don't know what to expect. I mean, there probably will be uproar if we don't win it, but that's just the way we are in England. It wouldn't matter who we were playing against, and obviously there is some expectation that we win it. But there's a lot of respect for Serbia because people know they're a decent team.
Yeah. Koeman, before we start, I want to take Koeman out. Apologies. I've gone Koeman because he's so highly owned, but Koeman's not going to start, is he, Dean? I think we're going to see. I don't think Koeman gets it. I think we're going to see Dembele one side. I don't know, Mbappe the other and Giroud down the middle, or if Mbappe is alongside Marcus Thuram. I don't think Koeman's going to be starting. And obviously Griezmann's in the team as well. That's like the front four. So I don't think Koeman's going to start, which is strange because when you look at the ownership of the French players, like I think he's the second highest owned player. Like everyone's going.
Is he really?
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of attackers, I think he's. Oh no, I've got that completely wrong. He's 3% owned. I don't know. Okay, don't know where I got that from. Koeman's a bad pick.
Look, I mean, Teo Hernandez is 27% owned already, and that's going to grow before we get to the first game week. Like he's an outstanding asset, one that I'll be bringing into my team actually that I didn't have in my first draft. Mbappe, obvious must-have, and then I think you've got a decision really. I think Griezmann's a great pick. And I think Giroud's a great pick. I do.
Do you think he starts?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, he started every other major tournament under Deschamps.
I think
not got any worse.
I think Giroud is so trusted in that position, and I also think that even if he's not starting, it doesn't matter. He's coming off the bench and he's going to score goals to kill off teams. And we've seen actually Golden Boot winners even emerge this way, where they don't start the tournament yet they start coming on, have a good groups, and then they score a couple in the knockouts, and they've scored like 6-7 goals by the end of the tournament. So I would actually have my top picks for France as Mbappe, Theo, and Giroud, and then after that, Griezmann and maybe Magnon.
Yeah, Griezmann is 9 million. I think he's listed as a midfielder though.
Yeah,
so that's nice.
He's just expensive, but he's great. If
in the
you
last
use him
World Cup
properly.
in Qatar, he was arguably player of the tournament for many. Like,
Yeah.
he was that. I know Messi did what Messi did and Mbappe, but Griezmann was phenomenal up until that final. Like, if France go and win it, Griezmann could easily get player of the tournament. Marcus Thuram for me would be my third pick over Giroud. 1% owned. 1% owned. And if he does, I think Marcus Thuram could start. He's 7 million. I've owned Marcus Thuram a lot in Serie A fantasy, so I've got a soft spot. Theo Hernandez, by the way, a bit like how Italy played in the last Euros. Yes, it's a back four at France, but because Jules Koundé will be the right back, he will drop into almost a back three with the ball, and then Theo will be high and wide on the left-hand side. And when France played the other day, and I think they drew 0-0 with Canada,
yeah,
I saw a screenshot. I didn't watch the game, but without the ball, it was back four. With the ball, it was back three, and it was Dembele on the touchline one side and Theo Hernandez on the touchline the other. Hernandez was playing the same height and width as Dembele, who is a front three player. Like, that is what you get from him, a 5.5 defender. Yes, please. He's not in my team for match day 1, but I'm close, and I'm sure he'll be in match day 3 for the Poland game.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of questions here. Well, Geddy says Saliba played well the other night, and then Finn says, I saw Saliba isn't favourite to start, weirdly. Opinion on Koundé as a budget defender. Now, look, one of the flaws of France, if you like, is the right back position, because they don't have an elite one. I mean, they've still got really good players that can play there, but they don't have a Theo Hernandez of the other side. And so that's going to be a complication of this. Saliba has been kind of gently introduced to the team by Deschamps, and there has been a lot of a feeling that this could be a tournament when he really emerges for them. He's obviously already emerged in terms of Arsenal in the Premier League, but there's a lot of competition here for Saliba to get into this team. Like, this is more competitive actually than getting into his club team. Like, this is much tougher. And so that's why there is some doubt about Saliba. And Koundé, as a budget defender, Finn, you're probably onto something in that respect, because he's versatile, but also for that right back spot, I think he's got a pretty good chance of figuring quite largely.
If we were to, let's play a quick game. If you were to name a country and a position in terms of the most strength in depth amongst, like, in world football, I would go so far to say French centre backs come out on top. Give us is it Portuguese wide men? Is it
well, it's Portuguese midfielders as well. That's Portuguese midfielders is right up there. So Portugal would have something to say about that.
Give us your suggestions in the chat. I'm sure we'll get some interesting ones. Maybe England wide forwards. Like, there's loads. Like, if Gordon and Palmer can't get in the team, Portugal attack, says Macca. But French centre backs. I remember, was it 4 or 5 years ago when Aymeric Laporte had to go play for Spain because he couldn't get anywhere near the French squad.
I mean, look, you think of the French depth. I mean, you're right. There's loads. I mean, because the obvious ones that people are going to talk about will be there, and Saliba will be in there, and Upamecano is somebody that you talk about. But then you have people like Disasi and Konaté, people that like get left out are like Wesley Fofana and Jean-Claire Todibo and these sorts of players who are being but they're already at big clubs or being chased by big clubs, and they're not even getting a sniff because, like, the top layer of talent of France is just so high. So, high expectations, obviously, for France. They're expected to go and win the tournament by the majority of people. But we need to watch them. We need to learn exactly how they're going to work, because in the last 2 games, it's been difficult to grasp exactly beyond the Mbappes and Theo Hernandez's who we're going to need.
Yeah. Spain centre mid, Dutch centre backs. Fair point from David and Sean there. England right back, says Nicholas. Very good. Guys, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Someone said, "Oh, how can Mbappe be best value?" Because he's so expensive. He can be. It's value for what you get. But I'm gonna say, because of that comment, we will change the question again. If you can only pick one player from that country, who would you pick in your fantasy team? Let's go with that for the next round, because 72% Mbappe has come out on top. If you're watching on catch up, then you can still play along. Just drop your answer in the comments, and I'm sure the producer team at CGA will be replying to you. So do drop a comment if you're watching on catch up. We love our live audience, but we're also conscious many will be watching this on demand. So hello and shout out to all you guys. Hopefully you're hitting that like and subscribe button as well. Let's move on from France then. Oh, I guess we should end, Dean, each time with how we think they get on. So I'll just go France. I'm going to go for a shock quarterfinal exit.
What?
Yeah.
To who?
I don't know. I've not looked at the. I haven't got a wall chart.
Hang on. Let me have a look.
Who can they get?
I've got a list somewhere that I made of who they're playing.
I don't fancy them to qualify top of their group.
Quarterfinals, they would play Belgium probably.
If they qualify, what if they don't? Yeah. What if they don't qualify top though? What if Netherlands qualify top?
If they don't qualify top, then Portugal quarterfinal.
There you go. There you go.
Mate, France are winning that group. Belgium, Lukaku, De Bruyne, Trossard. I've got this defender, Face. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh yeah, the Leicester guy. He's 4 million, is he? And he's going to start.
Yeah. And he's going to start.
Yeah.
So I've that's the only one different to what you've got in there, and I think just because he's 4 million and he's
4
going to
million.
start.
Well, I said at the start of the show, the three sort of cheap picks in I mentioned the German left back, but you could say Face is another one, or Fass. I think it might be.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it.
The fans love him at Leicester. When I've gone to watch Leicester a few times, and he's been on the pitch, they all chant his name. So he's clearly a bit of a baller.
There you go. It must be good. If the Leicester fans are chanting your name, then you're doing something right. But yeah, so I think that's interesting. I mean, I think, are we convinced about Belgium? Are we sure that they're going to?
I like the group. I like the group. For
Yeah.
High ceiling wins, I think they've got the easiest group of any team. You could argue Portugal too, but I think Turkey could be tough. But this should be 3 gimme. Ukraine are no mugs, but Castagna has to be on top pole. Dean, says Carl. I don't know. I prefer either Fass, or there is also now a new pick at fullback who attacks at will for Club Brugge. He's also very good at 4.5. De Coupe.
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but
he's in my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Colm's just saying that because he's a Fulham fan, by the way. He's just trying to get me to shout out the Fulham boys. But Castagna, who knows? Like Castagna, sometimes if he gets freedom to roam down that side, then yeah, possibly. I think Lukaku is going to be a really intriguing pick, and I said yesterday I really hope that Lukaku gets the chance to properly thrive at this tournament. It's a massive summer for him. He's so desperate to do well. And he's one of these players that's kind of left over from the golden generation. And
him and De Bruyne.
There's a couple of others.
Is Vertonghen still in the squad?
Yeah, but
Alderweireld's not, I guess.
No, Vertonghen is, but I think he's injured.
Right. Okay.
So I don't think he plays the first game. I think I'm right in saying that. And Axel Witzel's still hanging around.
Oh yeah, he's been playing centre back in the friendly, so maybe he's because of Vertonghen's injury.
Yeah, that's right. So
De Bruyne is 21% owned, Lukaku 15, Trossard 9, Fass 9. They're the 4 highest owned players. Doku is 7. What do you make of Doku, Dean? Like, he's played wing back a little bit. He doesn't feel nailed for minutes. There's also other good wide forwards there that could get a look in. Like, is it Bakayoko, the wide man? De Ketelaere isn't going to start, but could get minutes. Trossard feels like the most nailed of the attackers outside of Lukaku and De Bruyne. Do you like him as an option?
Yeah, so I'd go with the Trossard pick if I was going to go that way early on in the groups. And then by the time we get to the third game for Belgium, when they play Ukraine, I wonder if that's when Doku gets his chance a bit more. Because that third game, don't forget, is always pretty different from the first 2 lineups. Obviously, depends what's at stake. But often, your fringe players or the one, or you get a chance to just play a little differently in that third game.
Yeah.
And so maybe Doku's reserved for then and can start to make his impact. Maxime de Kuyper should be nailed for the first two at least, says Geddy. Amazing season at Club Brugge with 3 goals and 10 assists. Extremely excited to see him. Well, there you go, mate. He's backed you up.
Yeah, that's why he's in my team. He did well for Belgium the other night. He will bomb forward. Yeah, I'm surprised. Only 8% have said they would, if they were given the option of one player they'd pick, only 8% have said De Bruyne. He is being criminally overlooked. I just feel like it's with this group, like we've seen him bully big teams in the Premier League, small teams in the Premier League. When big team versus small team, Man City have all the ball. He's so dangerous. Well, Belgium are going to have all the ball in these 3 games.
Yeah, it's just, but if you can pick one, you're going to miss out on Lukaku's points. Then that's why you're going to go Lukaku, isn't it? Because it's fear of missing out. Because the likelihood is that in a group like this, your number 9 could eat it up, and that's his objective of this tournament. So, I mean, Zodiac says, I don't get why people would want Lukaku. Even Belgium's golden generation were not even that good. Lukaku's goal scoring record is outstanding, and he's
14 in qualifying.
He's so important to this team and such a strength of theirs too, in terms of whether they are successful or not. So, yeah, I mean, bold words if you think that they're not going to bang. And Sean says Lukaku's going to get the golden boot, and I think that
12-1. Yeah. Just looking
12-1 for the golden boot. Yeah, it's not a bad shout at all. Look, obviously Lukaku can be flaky, right? We don't always trust him, but I think I would. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in my team. It's out of, I say it's pretty sure. It's out him and Giroud, and I really don't know which way I'm going on that yet. It's a 50-50 call. It's Kane and Mbappe, and I'm going with Lukaku or Giroud. And whichever one I don't pick, I'm going to regret. But yeah, that's going to be a tough call.
I like
for
that
me.
you, mate. If you go Kane, Lukaku, and Mbappe, that is a proper front line, isn't it? That is a front line that will be the envy of many.
He's putting all your eggs in one basket, isn't it? But then it's like, I don't see how it can go that wrong. I don't see. I think there's a lot of experimenting you can do in a Euros game, and I feel like picking the forwards isn't really something you want to mess about with. Just get the guys that get the goals, because ultimately that's one thing that doesn't change. Whether the tactics are different, whether the rest of the team's underachieving, whether they're overachieving, those guys are still going to be there in front of goal. And they're so consistently good that it's unlikely that they don't bang. So I think that's why I'm just looking at reputations for forwards.
It's a 4-horse race according to the bookies. They've got Mbappe at 9-2 for the Golden Boot, Kane at 5-1, Ronaldo and Lukaku both at 12, and then you go out to 20-1 for Bellingham.
Ronaldo.
Weird. And Havertz. So it's a 4-horse race. They've got Scamacca at 50. Yes, I did scroll down far.
We haven't talked about Ronaldo at all. So I'll be interested. Have you got any topics?
I guess we've got. Should we wait till Portugal? I think we might have Portugal next.
We'll talk about
we got Portugal very soon. Yeah.
Flip on to the next team and we'll see what we got next.
Yeah, let's have a look.
You never know. It might even be.
How do you Belgium? Where do they finish, Dean?
Where's my little thing? Well, quarters. I have them for the quarters, mate.
I'll go
pretty sure. Yeah, I think that once they get on my little chart that I've done, it's a Belgium-France quarter-final, and with all the optimism in the world, this Belgium team ain't beating France.
Soft centre, I reckon we'll see with Belgium.
Right, top picks for Germany. You've gone for, mate.
Good options here, man. Like 4 million defender starting, a 4.5 million defender starting. If you do want the double up, like don't go spend money on Germany defenders when you can get these two.
Yeah,
I think Wirtz. You made such a good point yesterday. Who's going to have the breakthrough tournament? It's only going to be Musiala or Wirtz. Could it be both? I don't know. What year was it? Was it 2010 South Africa? Where was it? Mesut Ozil and who else was it? Who just had a complete out of nowhere, just worldly tournament. I remember it was when Ozil became a thing. It might have been. I can't remember who it was. Let us know in the chat. Who broke through with Ozil for Germany in 2010? It was when Frank Lampard scored the goal that went over the line. It was that game.
Right. All right.
And that generation. Muller. Yeah, of course. It was Muller. Yeah, thanks, Luke. Who's still playing. Crazy.
He's very, very, he's still effective.
So
okay, so yeah.
Gundogan isn't listed here, but he's the only other one I'd suggest.
Yeah, I got to say, he's the only.
bench.
Yeah, so my list of 3 was Wirtz, Mittelstadt, and Gundogan as my 3 top picks. I must have Gundogan at 7 million, captain, going to be in and around the creativity. He's reliable. We've seen him count with goals when he was at Man City, even when he wasn't particularly advanced, he'd still managed to weigh in with goals. Very, very influential figure in this Germany team, outside of the obvious ones of Musiala and Wirtz. So I'm interested in him as a slight differential, I think. I mean, Gundogan, 10% owned in comparison to Wirtz, who's 38, and Musiala, who's 17. Now, obviously, you've got Havertz listed here too. Havertz only 17% owned at the moment. And I guess it's because people don't trust him and don't know exactly where he's playing, but he's going to be a centre forward.
Yeah, number 9 for Germany, and he's in the opening game. There's going to be managers getting FOMO that do bring him in just because they want to own a bit of the
first game. Scotland, Havertz to score the first goal of the tournament.
Yeah,
I mean, very possible. Very possible.
This will be an interesting poll. Which one do you go for?
Yeah, it will be. Let me open it up. I'm going to have a vote for myself, actually. I've got to go Wirtz.
Do you fancy him for clean sheets, Dean? When you look at the fixtures, Scotland, Hungary, Switzerland, how many clean sheets? Do we get 1 or 2 in the group?
Probably 1, I think. Yeah, I think probably 1. And I think it's probably in that first game, to be honest. But
McTominay? McGinn? Causing problems? You see it or not?
There's actually a bet. I was listening to the radio the other day, and there was like a betting guy on there. And he said one of the best bets you could actually do from that group is let Scott McTominay to be top scorer in the group. It's like, because if there aren't loads of goals, and McTominay does have a good goal scoring record for Scotland, obviously, it might only take 3 goals from 3 games from McTominay to actually win that bet. So I was like, that's not a bad shout. I'm not sure I want Scott McTominay in my fantasy team, but I can see some logic in that because he is quite dangerous for them, and he does get into good positions. He's certainly used more effectively than Man United use him. So I quite like that. Nick Balfour says 9-2, Kai, first goal in the competition. I like that. That might be a fun bet to have on the night of the game. But yeah, I think this is, that the fact you've even listed 5 options and we've got a spare one and Gundogan shows that this is a nation that we've got to be taken seriously in this game.
Yeah, the good group helps. I think Germany, Belgium, Portugal, 3 of the really big teams with good groups where you look at the group and go, they could win every game. You don't look at Spain, Italy, even France and England, Netherlands. You look at them and think, they could drop points quite easily. Now, I'm sure the likes of Germany, Belgium, Portugal will drop points. It's rare a team goes and wins 3 in the group stages, but given the group, you wouldn't be surprised with this Germany team. It's a shame Musiala's 8.5. That's my only closing note on Germany.
Yeah.
I'd love if Musiala was 7.5, it'd give you a real kind of who'd you go with?
Yeah, it's more of a dilemma. Whereas now you just go with Wirtz. You just side with Wirtz.
There's little to split them.
FPL Malcolm says your mate Ed is from Scout as captain McTominay for the first day.
It sounds like Ed. Yeah, I'll be talking to him on Scout on Thursday. He he just knows that he can change the armband. So he said his theory is a German player that we captain, let's say we all captain Havertz, he's not going to go and get enough points that you don't twist anyway. He's going to go and get 1 goal and 6. So why not go for someone that no one else is going for that could actually go and get a brace? And if he does, you'll be the only one that has him, and then you just stick with a McTominay.
What would you do if Wirtz had scored twice and you have got him captain for game day 1? Will you just stick for the rest of the tournament, or will you still be tempted? You'll still just stick if it's 2 goals, the sticking point.
I think 7 is my key number for captaincy. I always think I will chase if I don't achieve 7 points, but if I achieve a 7 to 14, unless Mbappe's still to play, I'll probably just be sticking on 7. I think 7 is my magic number. Let us know what your magic number is in the chat. I mean, obviously matters depending on where you are in the match day. 7, you're going to take on the 4th day, maybe not on the 1st. So
yeah, it's Yeah, it's a hard one. That it's going to be an interesting element of this game for sure. Let's flip it on to the next team.
Yeah. Let's have a look. We've done Germany, we've done England, we've done a couple of the big ones, done Belgium. Still got a fair few to go. 20 minutes. So stay with us,
Might have
guys.
to rattle through some of these.
Yeah, I can't remember how many countries I did. Where is Germany? Where we think they'll finish? I think they could get. I think they could get to the semis or final. I think they'll go very far. Definitely last four.
Yeah, they definitely got potential to get to the last four, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they get there. I've got Germany listed to play Portugal in the semi-final, and I think Portugal, as it sits now, I would rate them as a better team. Obviously, this can change over the next couple of weeks, but my early instinct is that we get a Germany-Portugal semi, and we get Portugal advancing to the final. But that could change. Like once you're at home, you see England getting to a home finals like last time around in the Euros. It does count for a lot, and that energy and the atmosphere and that feeling, and you do feel a little bit invincible when you're at home sometimes once you get that momentum. And that is what this Germany team could do. And that's what they need. As I say, top end, this Germany team is elite. Just a couple of flaws going backwards. Like Mittelstadt, we're all pointing out as like a strength. But that's from an FPL perspective, right? What's he like from a real life perspective?
No one knows.
I don't know.
Or cares.
That was ever seen in play.
Yeah, no one's heard of him until 2 weeks ago. Okay, let's move on from Germany then. Thank you guys for letting us know. Let us know in the chat who you think will win the Euros, by the way. Just give us a name. We'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of France and England in there. Okay, move away from Germany. On to nearly 100 people viewing. If you could all hit the like button, that'd be amazing. Italy. In the group of death, I don't expect much from this Italy team. Like, I think realistic target is quarterfinals. But there are some juicy options because of the Albania game and because of the chip strategy a lot of managers are on. If you're picking just for the first game week, Italy players have been favourably priced. There's some very good options. Steer clear of Barella. We don't know if he'll be fit. He's the only midfielder you'd want to consider anyway in terms of goal threat. Fratesi, if he starts, is good value for a goal. But again, that's a risky pick for starting. The standout defender is DiMarco. The standout second player, I think, is Scamacca because he's cheaper than Chiesa. If Chiesa was listed as a mid, we'd all have him, but he's not. And then Cambiasso, I think, has a very good chance of starting. Pretty much 4 of the back 5 are nailed for Italy. Di Lorenzo, DiMarco, Buongiorno and Bastoni. The 5th player will either be Darmian, in which case Di Lorenzo plays right wing back, Darmian right centre back, or Cambiasso, in which case Di Lorenzo plays as a right centre back. Dean, where do you think that? Because that's a big debate. Where Di Lorenzo plays means either Darmian starts, no one cares about him for fantasy, but if it's Cambiasso and Di Lorenzo's a centre back, then he's a 4 million option playing as a wing back against Albania.
Yeah, well, so why? I don't know enough about the setup of the Italian team. Why would Di Lorenzo get the nod? Well, like, because I like him. If he's going to play, like, I would probably pick like him and DiMarco are the only 2 players I've got as top picks here. Like, I'm really not that interested in the others. I think there's better picks from other countries.
Well, Di Lorenzo, Di Lorenzo will definitely start, but it's just where does he start? And the problem with Di Lorenzo is he's always really played in a back 4. So knowing this is going to be a back 3, does Spalletti, who made him captain, I think, at Napoli, does Spalletti play him as a right centre back? And if he does, Cambiasso's in, or does he play him as a wing back? If he plays him as a wing back, where he can clearly play, then that means Cambiasso won't play and someone like Darmian comes in or Mancini comes in. So where do we think Di Lorenzo will start? I feel like, given his age, given his experience, given his defensive qualities, I think he could play right centre back. And with that in mind, it makes Cambiasso a legit option at 4 million.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, I think I'm just going to go DiMarco, 5 million, great asset. He's one of my favourite players in Serie A, and I think he's going to prove worth having for that first game in particular against Albania. So that's where I'm at. I think I'm just going to go with one Italian player, and it will be DiMarco.
I'm going for 3, definitely, but I don't know which 3 yet. I'm not going to lie. It's DiMarco, Scamacca +1. And it could be Di Lorenzo for security. It could be Cambiasso for the punt. Or a guy I've not mentioned is Buongiorno at 4.5. He will start because he's the go-to centre-back of the 3 with Acerbi injured. So I'm still not sure there on the 3rd pick. But options. I don't think I will be having Triple Italy for the Spain game or for the Croatia game. It is a bloody good group. We'll move away from Italy because you guys, if you watch my content, you'll be bored sick already of me talking about them. And I have just done a 20-minute Italy team selection predicted lineup on my channel, which you can watch in 15 minutes. So stay tuned on CJ for the next 15 for some other teams. Get voting in the poll. Final question, Dean, where do Italy finish? You're not backing us to get out of the group, are you?
No, I'm not. No, Italy are going to come bottom of Group B.
Oh my God.
That's not even a dig at you, man. That's not a dig at you at all. I just don't fancy them. And I said yesterday, it's because I'm not sure they even win that first game. Right, now, on Netherlands, before you get started, there's actually some interesting news that's just dropped, which influences our top picks here. So they play Poland in their first game.
Yeah.
Breaking news is that Lewandowski will not be playing in the opening game against the Netherlands and possibly won't be playing in the tournament because of this injury that he's picked up.
Ouch.
Now, that makes me even more thinking I need a goalkeeper or a defender or both from the Netherlands, because Poland, I already had to come bottom in Group D. Obviously, this is a group that's France, Netherlands, and Austria with Poland. Now, without Lewandowski, I mean, talk about unfancied. I mean, they don't have any chance in most people's eyes of getting out unless they can somehow come together and find a way through. So Van Dijk might come into my thinking potentially. Verbrugge definitely has to be an option. And then the guy I would probably go for instead of Van Dijk would be Dumfries ahead of Frimpong. I love Frimpong.
Me too.
I think he's brilliant.
Agreed.
But I'm just scared of how much we're going to see him. And
but
the thing is, he's coming on and he's even getting assists then. So
he's coming on always as a wide forward, though, isn't he? So Dumfries is just more nailed. Like when he comes on alongside Dumfries, ahead of him. So Dumfries, you just feel nailed. Verbrugge nailed, Frimpong not, but he's a defender. But I mean, Xavi Simons isn't on this list, who did score last night, and he's still part of my thinking at 7 million. Simons, I love the pie, but again, because he's listed as a forward, and I'm actually struggling with the midfield spots. I would prefer to have 5 forwards and 3 midfielders. Like it's not like FPL where there's loads of midfielders you want. No. There's not many midfielders I'm convinced on, and there's a ton of strikers I want, like the pie. Yeah. So Xavi Simons is an option because he will start ahead of Frimpong.
Yeah, that's a good shout. He's just got his first goal. Like maybe that gives him some confidence too. Yeah. They're definitely one of the feel-good teams coming to this tournament. A lot of the top nations are not in good form at the moment and in a good mindset, whereas Netherlands have the opposite of that coming into the tournament. Now perhaps they've already peaked. We've seen that of teams before when they get to a tournament. They have a feel-good factor about them in the bubble burst in the first match and it's all over. But often that's not the case. Cam's in the house. Hello, mate. He says, afternoon. Great to see you back. Frimpong is a lock in my team. A lock. We're just saying about him. He's a bit risky.
Don't do it, Cam.
He might not be playing, mate. A lock's a big shout, isn't it, for Frimpong?
If he had played last night or started last night, we'd go, yay. But he didn't. Holland looked so good with Dumfries and Xavi Simons down the right. And I did make this list before last night's game. Regrettably. One thing we should say about Holland, Dean, is the manager, I guess. Like Ronald Koeman, whether you like him or not, he's been there, he's done it. He would be seen as a higher sort of category manager to most in the competition in terms of the clubs he's managed, the tactical nous he has. I think it's an advantage of the Netherlands to have a top manager like Koeman. And I think with that in mind, you should really consider them for definitely last 8, but potentially further, last 4.
Maybe. Look, he's wanted to prove himself on a stage like an international tournament like this one. And he's got a good bunch of players to try to make his dreams possible of leading them somewhere. Now, they've got a reasonably good pathway because they'll probably say they come second in Group D to France. In the last 16, they then go through to play runners-up of Group E. Now, Group E is weak. That's the one with Ukraine, Romania, and Slovakia in it. So the last 16, you're probably looking at Netherlands versus Ukraine, which you would give them the benefit of the doubt to get through that one, and then you'd be looking at a quarterfinal against Portugal, where it might all fall apart. They're definitely a good team, but there was a pattern not so long ago where they were conceding goals quite early in games, but they've seemed to shut up shop in that sense recently. They've got good leadership from the back, and they've got further up the pitch a lot of players with something to prove. And Koeman seems happy to give these youngsters a chance to thrive. So I think it'll be a good tournament for Netherlands, even though I'm not sure they can get past Portugal. Sachin says, "Where's Van Dijk as a pick? 2 goals in 2 friendlies. He would have got 18 points last night. Man of the match, goal, recoveries, and clean sheet."
I still prefer Dumfries.
He would have, yeah, but we're not in the tournament yet, and last night is pointless. So it doesn't really matter.
Let's move on. We've got a couple more teams to get through. We're going to go quick fire on the last couple because one of them is Portugal. I mean, we could have done half an hour on Portugal alone. So let's have a look at our Portugal picks. Dean,
Sean makes a good point, by the way. Yeah, sorry. On Holland, Sean says last night, Ake, every single piece was aimed for him, and he was such a threat. I did think that. I thought Ake was really interesting last night in that Dutch game. That could be one to look out for. Good shout, Sean. I should have shouted that out earlier because it was something I noticed in that game. So yeah, certainly. But yeah, let's move on to the next team as we're running out of time.
Cool. I mentioned Netherlands around semi-finals ish.
Yeah, I think quarters is about as good as it gets for this team, but I don't think that's the end of the world. And you never know; they could end up beating Portugal, who we. I
think they top the group. I'm going to go with Netherlands beating France. Cancelo, Bruno, Leao, and Ronaldo, 4 brilliant picks. I mean, Leao isn't being considered because, again, like Chiesa, he's not listed as a midfielder. He should be. Most other wide forwards are, but for some reason, Leao and Chiesa are forwards, which means no one's going to own Leao. He's in my fan team as a mid. Ronaldo's expensive. Bruno's a lock. If you can afford a 6 million defender, bearing in mind 6 million is the most expensive defender you can buy in this game, then do go for Cancelo. He is everything to Portugal. Like when you look at his numbers in the groups, he's proper creative. It's like peak Man City Cancelo is the Cancelo you get for Portugal. Roberto Martinez lets him bomb on. I think the clear standout options are Bruno, Cancelo. I do think Ronaldo's a good option. It's more you can't have Ronaldo and Kane, or you can't have Ronaldo and Mbappe and Lukaku. And I just rate those 3 other premium forwards above him, I think. But the fixtures are good. Like he could go crazy against Georgia. He could go crazy against Czech Republic, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I guess you fancy this team as well in the group. 'Cause it's not a bad group at all. It's quite attractive. I'm even tempted, perhaps, by somebody like Ruben Dias, who would be at the centre of the Portuguese defence. I haven't looked at his price point, but I
think
outside of the ones that you've listed, I'd say he would have some appeal, and the goalkeeper too, because that's a group in which clean sheets has certainly got potential, and he's probably one of the best keepers at the tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that. Conceição on the right-hand side is good value, says Fridads. We just don't know who's going to start. It's going to be a front 3, probably, of Leao on the left, Ronaldo central, and I think Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. We could, of course, see Conceição. We could see Pedro Neto, Diogo Jota, but these guys are going to be on the bench for me. Jota, when used, is often as a 9. So I don't think Conceição is going to start, which is why I've not gone there, because he was brilliant in Portugal's most recent friendly, or the first of the 2 friendlies. I think he got player of the match. The midfield is so strong. The forward line is so strong. So you have to go for the nailed assets of a Bruno, Ronaldo, or I think a Leao.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I mean, I think Bruno is I think you're mad if you haven't got Bruno in your team, to be honest with you. Any time I watch Portugal, he's so influential. He's such a threat. And that's what we want in an asset for this game. He's also got the potential to score long ranges, which you're even getting rewarded for in the tournament. So that's what I like too about Bruno. If I had to pick one, I think I go Ronaldo, says Getz. I mean, maybe people are going to overlook Ronaldo. Maybe Ronaldo does turn out to be a good pick, but because he's going to demand games, that's the thing. You can't just leave Ronaldo on the bench, can you?
You can't sub him early either.
You can't sub him. So what do you do with him at 10 million?
This was Juventus and Man United's problem.
And they are at that point because it is to their detriment that they play him. It is.
I mean, Diogo Jota's been scoring goals for fun when he plays number 9.
Yeah. Like, you make the team worse if you pick Cristiano Ronaldo in it. It's just where we're at. And yeah, I'm just about to look up actually to see how highly owned he is, because I haven't checked this, but I can't believe it can be that high. Ronaldo 15% owned at the moment.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
at
he's a good
10,
pick. He's not a bad pick. It's just, is he a better pick than Lukaku? No, and he's a million more. Is he a better pick than Kane or Mbappe? No, I don't think
no,
so.
that's it. And Mbappe's 77% owned, Kane 47% owned, and you have this huge drop off to Cristiano Ronaldo. So yeah, he counts as a differential, but I don't know. It's you. If you like Ronaldo, then you pick him, I guess, because you'll fancy your chances of getting a leg up on everybody else, and you'll be having the last laugh, perhaps, because he will score at this tournament. He's not going to go through a Euros without scoring a goal. I'm sure. Like he's not going to allow for that to happen. And like Fry says, if Ronaldo's on the pitch, he's taking every set piece. I hope not. I hope there's some logic and Bruno Fernandes is still able to get on top of things, but you never know because Ronaldo will start sulking.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for all your contributions in the chat. We've got 2 minutes to get through, loads more, so stay with us. I'm going to go proper quick fire for the last bit.
Okay.
Spain, we're just going to just flash up pretty much. Because of the group, no one's really picking Spain players. When they get to the Albania fixture, you probably will. I think we're going to show the Spain slide. Yeah, stand out for me is Yamal, 6.5, like player of the match in the most recent friendly. I think Olmo's a good pick. And I think for the Albania game, which is the third match day, if you're on Limitless, for example, everyone's going to have triple Spain. Let's move away from Spain, though, and just go through some top players for not so fancy teams. I am going to present Dean with 4 or 5 names. Chanloglu of Turkey, 6.5 mid. Kvaratskhelia, 7 million mid for Georgia. Szoboszlai, 7 million for Hungary. Sesko is 7 million for Slovenia. And Mitrovic, 7 million for Serbia. Oh, and Mudryk, 7 million for Ukraine. I think Kvaratskhelia is 6.5. Yeah, maybe 7. All of those are good players. A lot of them are going to be on everything. Set pieces, 90-minute appeal. If their teams score some goals, they will be involved. Any of them stand out as kind of, he's going to go in my team. I don't have any of them.
If I don't have any of them yet, Çalhanoğlu is probably the one that I would consider the most. I think that he's the most influential out of those players in terms of his importance to the team, but also from an individual standpoint, I think will benefit from the way the points are working out in this game, because he'll end up benefit from both ends of it. Because, as I say again, the ball recovery aspect, like if he's playing as a DM and considers himself to be one of the best in that role, then he's going to count in terms of turnovers and stuff like that. Yeah. And also Çalhanoğlu is going to weigh in with goals in this tournament if they take off. So yeah, I think Çalhanoğlu, he might even make my team, to be honest. Like when I do my second draft tonight or tomorrow, Çalhanoğlu is on my short list of players that I would like to try to get in there.
Yeah, Kvaratskhelia was in my team this morning. He's the one I think I like just for 1 or 2 of the games. Like, obviously, I don't expect much against Portugal, but in the other 2, he could get something. I'm with you on, I think Turkey can be very good. And then you could look at someone like Szoboszlai and just go for Hungary, who will take loads of fans over. Yeah. Hungary could maybe cause an upset or 2.
He might. Yeah, Szoboszlai might bang. He might bang. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not as hot on Mudryk. I'm not as hot on Sesko because of the team he plays for. Mitrovic, though, again, I do like. I like that Mitrovic-Vlahovic combination up top with Milenkovic-Savic behind. I think is a very dangerous attack for Serbia. And I'm backing them to get a draw against England.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Dean, we're going to be back on Friday. It'll be our sort of deadline stream, but fairly early.
Party, the first game day tournament opener. Let's do it, mate. I'll bring a party bag, bring a couple of beers, and we'll go for it.
Good man. 11 a.m. beers, proper football time, and we'll be showing you our locked teams. So we're going to do a lot of tinkering on Wednesday, Thursday, and show you our locked teams on Friday, guys. Before you leave, please do consider hitting those buttons, like and subscribe. If you feel like we blitzed through Italy too quick and you want to know more on Italy, then I've just dropped a video on the Gianni Battici channel. Well, it'll be out in 1 minute's time. If you want to know my Italy predicted 11. Guys, thank you so much for supporting CGA. This will be your home of Euro 2024 fantasy. We have shows lined up between every match day. Dean and I will be back on Friday at 11, so we hopefully will see you then. Thank you as always to everyone in the chat. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing green arrows.